Hey everybody, it's Ashley Needles, and you all know that this came. It is only gold clad, I discovered, so it is not the main prize. The main prize is basically a $40 silver certificate. That's how much this, it turns out, is worth. It's $40, so huzzah, silver certificate, because of this little thing on the top where it says silver certificate. So yeah, these things are pretty interesting and handy from before the United States went off of the silver and gold standard. So yes, this will be the grand prize for whoever gives me the best review of Falling Moon Part 2. It will be awarded. A buffalo nickel came. It's dateless, but if I flip it around, the head is flipped upside down. So I read somewhere where that makes coins worth more. I'm not sure if it was specific to a certain coin or if it's specific to all coins, where the back and the front are mismatched. That makes it worth more. But yeah, so that's what's going on with those things. I have more stuff that will be arriving in the mail. I'm hoping everything will arrive before the 30th, but I have to take off soon, so if stuff hasn't arrived, then, because some stuff says it's not arriving until like June 20th, some of the prizes and awards for those who left reviews on Falling Moon Part 2. But I'll get them mailed after that, so huzzah. And then you guys will have your awards, and you can be happy, I hope. Cross my fingers. I tried to get really good things for people, because, I mean, I was talking to somebody the other day about how my fans, I don't really like that term. You're not blowing air on me, and you're not, like, people I don't know. I mean, some of you are people, some of the people who bought my book are people I don't know, and there are a few reviews where I don't know the people that left 5-star reviews, but for the most part, I've known everyone, and so I want to say my friends. My friends who left reviews, they're the people who are building me up and giving me the foundation for success later. Like, you guys, your reviews are the soil in which all my other successes will grow as an author, and so I really want to appreciate you and give back to you all the wonderful author nutrients that I need, because you guys have been filling my bucket. Like, there were times when I wanted to give up writing Part 2 because it was not in my outline. It was, Part 2 was, yeah, I realized at the end of Part 1, my characters went off script. Like, Sarah and Jays were supposed to kiss, and she was supposed to, make the earth move, like, literally, and have rocks fall. There's supposed to be a rock slide. But instead, that happens just after he's been holding her for a while, and the energy is just building up in her, and then she explodes and rocks fall and stuff. But when he kisses her, she flattens the city. So I have to write this as a redemption arc, to where she literally goes into, like, this hellish place, fire raining down, boulders raining down on her, and icy water at her waist, and burning up above, she can't breathe, blah. So she has to go through that to make a redemption arc, to where she goes through pretty much hell to save somebody. Because she flattened a city and killed people. Yay. Which was really fun to write, the whole Jays scene, the Jays parts of that, where he's, like, riding the motorcycle through streets that are, like, having an earthquake underneath him, and he's being chased by tornadoes and hurricanes and whatnot. So that was a lot of fun. But at the same time, Part 2 was not in my original outline, so it got rewritten, like, 3 or 4 times. Different plots happened. I told somebody it was twice recently, that I basically rewrote it 2 times, but then I was thinking about it, and I'm like, no, I pretty much wrote Part 2 4 or 5 times. Yeah, like, a ton. So Part 3 will have all of my initial nummy goodness in it that I wanted to write. Like, I wanted to write about Matt and Jays getting in a fight, Matt and Colby getting in a fight, all the misinterpretations that are going to be going on of stuff. Yeah, so I'm really excited. Like, yeah. I hope you guys are too. About Part 3. It should be a lot more fun to write than Part 2, so it should get finished a lot faster. But there's a lot of stuff to put in it, so I don't know. I don't know when Part 3 is going to be out. And I love that you guys are impatient for it, but at the same time, I'm like, before I delve into, like, writing Part 3, I have to read The Dragon's Price and The Dragon's Curse, I think what they are, by Bethany Wiggins, because I promised her I would. And yeah, and I'm really excited because I read her book Stung, and I read her book Shifting, I think is what it's called. And she is a phenomenal writer. Oh my goodness. So if you're looking for a book that like really gets your heebie-jeebies up, read Stung. It was hard for me to get through because it was so intense, like very, very intense. I wish I had been able to write Saren's journey through like the underworld as intense as Bethany Wiggins was able to write in Stung, but no dice. I'm too much of a like, I want to keep things happy and light and sexy and blah, because that's just, yeah. I'm somebody who struggles with depression, but I don't like to dwell in depression, even though I struggle with it, so I just have to like pick myself back up out of it. I can't stay there. And if I write too much shit that's dark, then I get very dark myself. I can't bear it. I have to get out. So, which is why I have the character Jer in the whole Secrets and Lies book, is so that I can actually get through it, because otherwise I wouldn't be able to bear it, because I need some like light and happiness in that. When I was actually going through the things that Secrets and Lies is based off of, I pretty much put every guy I met on a pedestal, because the one person in my life, the major influence in my life, who I was around all the time, was very not good for me. And so I put every other person on these like pedestals of perfection that once the divorce happened, once I was, blah, I wasn't supposed to say that. Once I was cast aside, I saw these people, like, I started seeing these people as they actually were versus being perfection. And so Secrets and Lies is really about how I kind of deluded myself into thinking, like, if the tiniest kindness, was so immense to me that person became perfect to me. Like a guy who opened the door and like waited for me to go through and just smiled at me. It was like, oh, thank you so much. Thank you. Anyway, so I had to move on from that and heal that and start seeing people clearly, which was a challenge, for sure. For sure. Words. So anyway, Secrets and Lies, I don't know if I'll ever get it finished. I have like a ton of chapters in it. Very blunt, honest chapters about what it was based on. But I don't know if it'll ever get done. Yeah. And now I don't know if I actually need to finish it, because things are kind of out now. And now that things are out and people know what happened, I don't feel like I need to be like, because there's a thing about history. They talk about how important it is, his story. But they don't talk about how important her story is. Like my story. I'm a woman, so it would be her story. Her story. And I always felt like it was very important to leave something behind, whether it's a book of journals, memoirs, an actual fantasy novel, whatever. I always thought it was important that we document our lives in some way. So that way when we die, our loved ones have something to, not so much to remember us by, but to have us live again for them, Like, I love that Facebook gives us, like, people's pages, of people who have died. You can go back and, like, look at, like, what made them happy and sad, and they can kind of, like, be alive again. In a way, you see their picture, their faces, whatever. So, I don't know. I've always been worried about that. I'm kind of morbid, so I think about death and whatnot a lot. Not like suicide type things, but like I have a morbid sense of humor. Yeah, we won't get into that. And words. But I was going to focus on Falling Moon Part 3. I don't know when it's going to be done, but it should not take as long as Falling Moon Part 2. Falling Moon Part 2, I edited as I went, and I didn't really have an outline for it because it was not in the original outline of the entire book because, again, the characters went off script, so they led me to this detour that I had to take, and it wasn't a detour I wanted to take, and so I kind of resisted it the entire time, and finally I ended up taking it, and it worked out, and people have loved it, or at least that's what everybody's been saying. I don't know if they're just being nice or if they actually mean it, but I hope they mean it. My fingers are crossed, because I really want to be a great author. I want to be a best-selling author, and I know that's insane, but I do. My goal is to get out 17 titles, and if I'm not a best-selling author with having 17 titles out, then I don't know. And I mean full books, not just little parts and sections. Because, okay, so one of the things that got Falling Moon written was this advice I was given on a YouTube video. Somebody said that write a bad book. They're like, everybody wants to write a great masterpiece, but you're never going to be an author if you start out by trying to write America's greatest novel or the world's greatest novel. You'll get stuck. You won't be able to write it. The only way you can ever get to that point where you do write America's greatest novel is if you start off by writing a bad book first. So write a bad book first was the advice. And I mean, I had started writing like books and stuff, but I had never actually finished one. And I was like, wow, he's right. So I wrote as well as I could the entire journey, learning new tricks of the trade and whatnot, like about filter words and whatever. Oh, excuse me. And anyway, gradually improving. Sorry, I forgot where it was at. And I think I improved and improved as I was writing part 1. And then I started writing part 2, and I continued to improve, I think. Hope. But, yeah. So write a bad book first, for those of you who are trying to be writers. Don't try and write, like, your main plot idea that you want to write. Like, just write a bad book first. So, not the plot that you love, the book that you're, like, desperate to have everybody read, but write just a really just write what you want to write, whatever it is. You know, it doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be great. Just write your bad book. It was the best advice I got. And then the other advice I got was start by publishing short fiction. Because if you start off by putting all your time and effort into a huge long novel, and your novel is terrible, and you have no talent whatsoever, and people see that, then you've just wasted a ton of your life. So start off by just writing short fiction. So that's why Falling Moon is put in 2 separate sections. I didn't know if anyone would like it when I released part 1. Like, I liked it and I thought it was decent, but I know that I have a long way to go to be at the level that I want to be at. Like, I want to be able to write like Scott Westerfeld. He's, oh my gosh, a genius of writing. His Ugly series and his Peeps and whatnot, they're fantastic. I still need to read his Leviathan books. I haven't read those because the plot line doesn't really interest me as much. But yeah, that's who I want to be able to write. Like, he's an incredible writer. In fact, young adult books have actually transformed writing lately. Like, they've been doing really, really good. Why do I not have words? Dang it. They've been winning awards that were being won by adult books, adult novelists. So now young adult writers are actually winning awards that they've never won before because the writing has transformed so much and evolved. And I noticed it first with Scott Westerfeld, and then I started reading like Robin Westerman, and her books also have the same also had the same transformation in the books of writing, the same evolution of writing. Yeah. And so did Bethany Wiggins, and that's why I wanted to read The Dragon's Curse and The Dragon's Price before I delve into part 3. And so hopefully that'll improve my writing for part 3. And then eventually I'm going to put all of the parts of Falling Moon when it's finally finished and all the loose ends are tied into neat little bows. Once that's done, I'll put all the parts into one big book and charge monies for it. Lots and lots of money. like $7.99. I know that seems ridiculous, but I don't know. I like you have books like self-help books and psychology books that people spend like $45 on, like textbooks and whatnot. But fantasy, I see a lot of authors like trying to sell their books that are first-time authors for like 15, 16 bucks, and I'm like, you're a first-time novelist. You have to get your brand out there before you can charge for your brand. Like, until people know the name Porsche, you can't charge for a Porsche. You have to, first create the Porsche. You have to first, build it from the ground zero. You have to build your brand, and that's not just with books. That's with everything when it comes to selling online. Yeah. So the covers. Falling Moon Part 1 had one of my old modeling photos exaggerated. Like I took and I squished and blew up parts of the body to make it my idea of what Guy's idea is of the perfect woman. Because I think when we first meet somebody, it's based on physical attraction. Like our heart starts skipping a beat and stuff. It's based on our physical reaction to their symmetry of face, the coloring in their skin, cause, like whether it's like really dark skin with blue eyes or really, really pale hair, like blonde hair with really, really dark eyes, I don't know. I really love contrasts, whatever those contrasts are. Like that's what I'm attracted to. I love high contrast people, but it's probably because I'm like brown hair, brown eyes, brown freckles. Yeah, average Jane coloring. I mean, granted, I could dye my hair blue, which I've thought about a lot. Like, I kind of really desperately want to dye my hair blue, but then it wouldn't be nearly as sellable for book launching when the price of hair goes back up. Yeah, I use sulfate-free hair shampoo and conditioner, and I never curl it or whatnot. Blow dry it. Yeah, that's the word. I never blow dry or curl my hair because I'm like, I'm gonna sell it. And then I'll actually pay somebody to market my books for me. Yeah. I'm excited to write about fight scenes between Matt and Jays. I'm excited about the superpowers that Jays is getting, because that's going to be fun to write. I can't spoil too much of that right now, but I will tell you what the book was based off of. So, my question was this. There are winged beings in almost every mythology around the world, right? And there's, supposedly these giants that they dug up from the earth, the Nephilim or whatever. And there's stories of vampires all over the earth. And I'm wondering what if it's all because, like, STDs? Like, okay, so for instance, the Ebola virus comes from bats, right? And monkeys. Or monkeys get the Ebola virus from bats. But there's these bats that naturally carry the Ebola virus in their intestines. And it's just a healthy bacteria for them. For us, it's, the plague. But I was kind of wondering if maybe, like, angels and, demons, whatever, Nephilim, whatever, vampires, vampiros, what if they came from the same source? What if there was this being? And what if this being wasn't from another planet, but what if it was from a different vibrational spectrum of energy and it condensed into human form to create what we now think of as angels, or succubi, or Naga, Champa, no, not the Naga, Valkyries, there we go, Valkyries, whatnot. So, there are, like, everywhere has these winged beings, and perhaps they do exist, or perhaps the wings were kind of like what's that thing called, Messy? Symptom? There we go, word. That's not the word I was looking for, but it's one. It works. So that maybe the wings were a symptom of a disease. I don't know. Yeah, so that was the premise of writing Falling Moon. It was basically Jays gets to become this superpowered human, you know, this like raw type character, or raw type icon, I guess is what it would be. And then Matt gets to become like a vampire, so on and so forth. And then the theme of it is self-reclamation, is reclaiming the self after life has torn us apart, or we've torn ourselves apart to be what other people wanted. So it's all about reclaiming the self is the theme of the book. Self-reclamation. So like Jays, he's hyper masculine, trying to be what society thinks men should be. And Saren is like what society thinks women should be, you know, perfect body and no sense of self. And so in the book, the two get to transform. You know, Jays gets to start having emotionality and artistry and stuff. And Saren gets to start having anger and annoyance and being whole and complete. Our darkness makes us whole. Society so much does not want women to have anger ever. You know, like women are not supposed to be angry. Men, they're supposed to be angry all the time, and I think it's damaging to both men and women. I think men and women are expected, different things are expected, but I think both are damaged. The expectations that we have of both are very damaging. And I don't think that it should be insulting to men to be considered womanly. I think it should be a compliment. It's like, oh, you are a full being. You have this caring, sensitive side, and you have this very strong, awesome, like, I shouldn't call it awesome because the caring, sensitive side is awesome, but you have this strong and powerful side too. I've always considered myself strong and powerful, so I don't know. I don't really consider those men traits, but I guess society does, so I think that's a problem, hence why Saren is superpowered but denying her superpowers and like trying so hard to like be less than she is because society doesn't consider women powerful, you know, and so lots of themes on that. Oh, I need to go swimming. Hi. There are words, and then there are more words, and I don't know what to say. I've said too much. I showed you the money, or the prizes. Yay. And I showed you the bill. That's going to be because this is only gold clad. But it is still up for grabs for anybody who wants it. It's 1 troy ounce. And it says right there it's fine gold, but I think that means that I think it's gold clad. I don't think it's actually gold. All the way through. But either way, you can request one of those. There are still prizes to be awarded, so please write a review of Falling Moon Part 1 or Part 2, and if you write a review of both, you can probably expect to get the prize you request unless it is the grand prize. Yeah. I have some more prizes on the way here, and I really, really want you guys to be all loved and know that you are loved, so that's what's going on. Perfect guy still. How does it go? You're a little late. I swear this much is real. I'm wide awake and I can see something. I don't know. That's not really what I can sing. I can't sing very well. Unless I'm singing a song I wrote, which somebody would get very mad at me if I sang that song, because holy cow, it's so funny to me and so happy for me, and I love it. But somebody else would know it was about them and be very, very mad. Very mad. Yeah. That's way TMI, way TMI. Way too much information. Why do we even, like, BTW I sound like such a valley girl when I use those. TMI. Anyway, I've talked too much. I'm sick of hearing my own voice, so bye.